Okay, today's video we're talking about programmatic TV advertising, which is also referred to as OTT or CTV advertising or ads. OTT stands for over the top, so this is actually ads that you could run online or through, which we still call online advertising, but will show up on Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, YouTube Red specifically, Sling TV, Roku, Apple TV, all of these things. So there's traditional TV advertising still, which, you know, on regular cable or satellite TV. And then there's all these other TV options, if we call them, we still call them TV, like the Rokus, like the Amazon TVs, like what's showing on Netflix, on smart TVs, that we call OTT advertising. Now, this is a fantastic, exciting opportunity right now because there's so few people doing it. The returns are better because of that. Actually, you know, the fact that, you know, basically that online advertising, as it's already kind of the buildup of it and the different forms that have come out over the years, different platforms, different places to advertise that have sprung up, they always start out on a, you know, they always progress on a curve where at the very beginning, the very earliest adopters will get the best returns because there's the fewest people that know about it and there's the fewest people that are willing to do it because a majority of people out there are followers. I mean, at the end of the day, even us business owners, they want to see somebody else doing something. They want to see their competitor doing it before they do it. And so the people that have balls that are and know about marketing don't need anybody else to show them the way. They get the major benefit of being the first one, which means, and given most advertising spots online are based upon demand, or should, if we want to just say all, based upon bidding, and the people that bid the highest get the ad space, but not only that, people that sell static ad space still have to charge what the market will, you know, what the market will pay. The earlier you get in, as soon as something new is introduced, the better the ROI you're going to get, and the more, you know, potentially the more clicks you can get, assuming that there's more users than advertisers at first. So the sooner you get in, the better of it, you know, more money you can make essentially. And then eventually it just kind of plateaus when, you know, there's case studies, there's guides, there's advertising firms that all help you guide the way on how to use this new ad platform to advertise. So you're, you know, in terms of if where we're starting out is here, and this is where we're going to plateau out in terms of the ROI based upon when everybody knows about it, we're like right here at this point, even in 2023. So if you get in now, you can make a whole pile of money. The little bit of testing that we got to do with our clients doing it works, but, you know, we're getting, you know, basically 1,000+% ROI or return on an ad spend, just being able to do it. Of course, we know what we're doing as far as advertisers, so you can't go in there and just expect a shitty ad to make you rich on these OTT networks. But if you combine really good advertising, which most people on these networks aren't going to do, with this new platform, you can make a ton of money with it. And I'm going to explain how and why you can make that kind of money doing it the way that we're doing it for the few clients that we've started out doing it with at our PPC agency. So with that said, we'll get right into the content then. You know, programmatic ad networks, like I said, for the most part, you're talking about networks like Netflix, Amazon, YouTube Red, Sling TV, smart TVs, people that are basically, and while they're watching these things, usually you can do it on multiple devices. You can do it on a desktop, phone, streaming device like Apple TV or Roku, or even a game console to be able to watch Netflix or to be able to watch Amazon Video nowadays. It's multi-platform. And so when you run your ads on these programmatic TV networks or OTT programmatic ad networks, you could run ads to somebody and it could show up on, like, potentially, depending on how many devices they use, it could show up on 4 or 5 different devices. They could be on their tablet watching something, shows up there, or their desktop, or their smart TV, or their gaming console while they're on that. So there's a lot of places they can ultimately show up. like I said, it is an opportunity. It is a fantastic opportunity for you to advertise and make a great return with it right now because it's so underpriced. If you listen to Gary Vee, he also always talks about, he's always pitching that you should be looking for underpriced, and he's always looking for underpriced attention online. Where is it that out of all the places we can advertise, offline, online, is the attention there underpriced? And a lot of times that's new stuff that hasn't been adopted yet by very many people. Sometimes, by the way, it's going back to old school methods that have been abandoned, which a lot of people don't think about that either. One of the things our firm does is we use direct mail, like snail mail and like literally hand-stamped envelopes with handwritten addresses on them. Why? Because nobody does that anymore, and when somebody gets that, they pay attention to it because they don't see it all the time. So that attention's underpriced from that channel and kind of doing it that way now because nobody else is doing it. And so being a person that wants the best return they could get, you should look at what people not doing anymore or not doing yet. So OTT advertising is just starting to get some mass awareness. And before, it wasn't up till just recently where these running OTT ads, you had to basically had to do some complicated shit to advertise, and the tracking wasn't very good, and the targeting wasn't very good. It was very primitive targeting, which that makes all the difference of whether or not you can make money with it or not. And you had to go to each, I had to go to several platforms or several companies to be able to get your ads out there in a big way. Now there's all in one platform, so I could get you on all these networks and do so by targeting people that have an interest in credit cards, for instance. They're in market for a new credit card while they're on these different networks, and it'll go find you the people that are in market for a new credit card on all these different video networks and only have you show up in front of them, or people that have been on your website before, which that wasn't available before, i.e. remarketing, or that is on a customer list that you have that you want to get in front of just your customers. You can do it with OTT advertising on these networks now because the platforms and systems that have sprung up to allow us to do it are now sophisticated now and allow you to do it. It's much like how the internet started out in 1995 in that area where banner advertising started to spring up, where you could buy banner ads on different websites, and it started out where you would just have to go to the website itself and buy a banner ad. And then there was smaller networks that allowed you to, if you wanted to run an ad on 1,000 websites, a banner ad on 1,000 websites, you would have a middleman that you would pay, and then they would take a cut for having the relationships with 1,000 websites so that you didn't have to go and talk to 1,000 websites. Then DoubleClick and Google came along, and through Google Display Network, for instance, they let you be able to get on millions of websites through their network, and then not only that, but be able to target people on based upon their behavior. So you didn't have to just say, I went on 1,000 websites, just put me up on the website no matter what. You got to decide which websites you're on, but only if people had a certain demographic or had a certain interest or a certain behavior that they've had in the past, then it would only show up for them but on those websites, but only if that person matched a certain level of traits. And that's exactly how the OTT advertising space has evolved. Now we're at the point where through these DSPs, you can advertise on all these ad networks without having to get in touch with any of them individually, which you could do through like a Hulu specifically, so that you don't have to go to each one, and you could only show up for people on those networks if they're in market for what you sell or whatnot. So with that said, the main reason why I like doing the OTT advertising is it makes you look way, way bigger than what you actually are. If you want to call it fake it till you make it, it's not really what it is, because people that do TV advertising, people still think TV advertising is expensive, which it's not, by the way. And by the way, going back to what I said before, it's underpriced attention because everybody's went away from it to go online. Now it's a better deal than it was because the rates for the spots have went down, and now it's a good deal. People haven't caught on to that. So that's another small tip, and I'm going to make a separate video about that, how our clients that use TV advertising are doing really well, particularly as they combine it with the online advertising. But people that see your OTT ad while they're watching Netflix or HBO Now, they're thinking, holy shit, this company I was considering here, they're actually able to advertise online? Now, when I go to decide, to buy, which they're not actually thinking exactly like this, but they're thinking in that when they go to buy, they're going to remember you as the big dog. And a lot of people, let's say half the customers who buy in most markets, just want to buy for the big dog because it's the less risk to them. Some more in some markets than others, but it's always a big factor. I mean, in terms of the number of customers that buy, just want to buy from the market leader because it's the brand name. People buy, doesn't matter what it is. You go to the store, you buy a candy bar, you could buy a 25-cent off-brand candy bar, or you could spend 50 cents for a branded candy bar. Most people buy the brand for a reason. Granted, they know what the experience is going to be like, but they also buy it for trust. Same thing with a can of corn. You buy the Del Monte corn because ultimately, even though you don't remember the corn experience that you had last time, you remember that it's more likely to be good. You're paying for less risk, ultimately, at least with half of that branded purchase you're making. So it's like instant credibility, just like almost as if you were on traditional TV. Like, people don't know about OTT advertising being a separate thing that you could get through a online advertising self-serve platform, and therefore they kind of almost treat it the same, or very close to like as if they saw your ad on traditional TV ads. People think it's expensive. If people think it's expensive, they think you're a company that has a lot of resources and therefore can be trusted. Just like when you send an envelope out in the mail to somebody with a live stamp, people think that's expensive. Therefore, they're more willing to pay attention to my envelope versus a banner ad they see online, which they see those all the time, and it doesn't have the same level of impact. People don't trust banner ads because they're littered everywhere, whereas a stamped envelope, which might cost 100 times more to run and get that in front of somebody, it's a 10,000 times more effective on the person because of that perceived value of what people think that it's worth, as what it costs to do, and then therefore the message should be more important. If this person spent more money to advertise and use this to get in front of me at the end of the day. So you get all of that with the OTT advertising, and you're not going to get that with traditional banner advertising. Now, eventually, obviously, that may change. People start to see OTT ads on these networks from small, little, crappy companies. They're going to start to realize that this is not something that only big companies can afford. It's not like traditional TV ads. But until then, we should capitalize on it while we can by being the earlier adopters. So with that said, for the impact you're going to get on your market of them thinking you're the big dog because you're on TV advertising, you don't have to do much work because of the new demand-side platforms that are available, that you could go onto a website, add a credit card, just like you're using Google Ads, and get your ads on all these ad networks. So there's a lot of platforms that offer this. You could just Google OTT DSPs or Programmatic TV Advertising DSPs, but one of which is a programmatic TV ad network called MNTN, which is one I've personally used, and which I would, for the most part, advocate you should also use it as well. I can't say it's better than others because I haven't tried a bunch and it's just so new, but I don't think you could go wrong just going, if you type in MNTN, you're going to consider doing this. That's the one I would just go with because I know they have the key features that make this so good now, which is, like I said, it allows for conversion tracking. It'll show you how much return you're getting because it's able to track the people who see the ad. And then by putting a pixel on your site, they can track how many people that purchase or turn into a lead itself, which, if you're generating leads with some more sophistication on your end, you can figure out how many people are buying and what the ultimate end ROI is if you wanted to. But it has the tracking, which is very important, or it's nice to have, even though there's other ways to track, even if you didn't have pixel-based conversion tracking. But then it also has very sophisticated targeting means, so they don't have to just decide to show up on Orange is the New Black on Netflix. You could only show up on Orange is the New Black if the person's interested in a credit card, or if they're on an email list that we upload to the ad network. You could literally take an email list of 500 of your customers, upload it to MNTN, and only show up while they're watching Orange is the New Black if they're on that email list, because it matches your email list up of your customers with the email list of the Netflix subscriber to know that that person watching that program is your person on your list that you want to target. So though with all the different targeting options that you can do on MNTN, which is similar to like the targeting options Google Display Network even offers, even though it's not quite as robust as that, I recommend remarketing, in-market audiences that they have, and then custom email lists. Remarketing is pretty self-explanatory. Somebody comes to your site, and then you show up on these networks for them to try to close the deal, if you will. Of course, that could also technically flow over to you have customers that bought already, and then you could have a TV ad that tries to pitch a cross-sell or a upsell, which if it's that personalized, if you give away that you knew that they purchased, it'll take away the mystique of having the TV ad there in the first place. Going back to what I was talking about up here, but you could certainly say, you could pitch the next thing, and they're way more likely to buy that next thing because they're your customer already. But anyway, you should probably know that. In-market audiences that a lot of these networks, including MNTN they have thousands of these so-called in-market audiences. They know basically then what that means is they know they're in market for a credit card, or they're in market for furniture, or they're in market for clothing, whatever it is. So you could get in front of people that they buy data from other companies to know who's in market for what you have. They searched for it recently. They were on websites that sell that thing that you sell recently, and you can get in front of them. If they don't have an in-market audience, MNTN, which, by the way, I'm not paid by them or anything here, they also will build you or come up with a way to come up with a custom audience. So that's also an option for you. So that's a very good, profitable way to do OTT ads. But also the other most profitable, or one that I would actually recommend to you doing, is custom email lists. So that could be your customer list, or that could be a customized prospect list. I talk about on this channel quite often about how you could go to a company like Nextmark and find people. If you're a spa, you could find people that go to spas, active customers, get that email list from them, and then give that to your programmatic ad network and say, I want to target these people that go to spas so I can get them to go to my spa. You could do this in a B2B context as well. If you're doing outreach to certain people that meet your typical customer profile, let's say you're offering sales training services, and you have this list of 10,000 names that you're trying to sell your services to, so-called hit list. Instead of just emailing them and cold calling them, you could also have your OTT ads show up for them, so you look bigger to that prospective audience so that they're more likely to respond to your email once they see it, which leads me into my next thing. Part of what you're going to get in terms of the value out of this, other than them them thinking you're much bigger than you are and much more established than maybe you are, in their eyes at least, and potentially informing them that you exist. The fact that they know you exist, because a TV ad, unlike a banner ad or something like that, you can't miss it. If you're watching Orange is the New Black and you see a a TV ad there on the, on that show, ultimately you're going to remember that brand, right? So once that's happened, you may not get a sale from that directly, but because you're targeting a person that was in market for new furniture anyway, when they go to buy new furniture, if they're going to go through Google, which often, many, many times they will, go through Google to find which furniture store they're going to do business with, the fact that they saw that commercial should make it around 4 times more likely that they click on your PPC ad versus another PPC ad, which if you don't know anything about PPC, the higher your click-through rate on your PPC ad, the cheaper your cost per click. So it's going to make your other PPC campaigns you're running on Google now significantly more profitable. So, and we know that 4x number is accurate because we've ran some experiments where we would run display advertising on Google. If you are trying to find out who's the best, how to choose the right orthodontist, let's say, and all the sites that show up on the first page of Google, we would make sure through Google Display Network, our banner ads are showing up on every single one of those sites that a person could find via the main search results on Google so that they see our branding from our orthodontist that we're promoting, that we're representing at our PPC agency, so that when later on when they go to local orthodontist near me, they remember our brand name, so they're more likely to click on our ad versus the other 3 other ads that are there on the top of Google. And what we found is the click-through rate went way, way up when we done that. So just blanketing because obviously the consumer online, because of all the information they have now and how people have been trained and how consumer behavior has changed, there's the sales funnel and there's people that come in the funnel and they're just figuring out do I want to hire a orthodontist? And then if they get past that level, then it's how do I choose the right orthodontist? If they get past that level of the funnel, then it's who's the best orthodontist that I should choose in the area itself. Then it's which ones are close to me that also look good. And so as they go through each one of these levels, a bunch of them drop out. And of course that goes further because once they decide who they want, then they got to figure out, can they afford them? Will they do what I need them to do? Do they get good results? And then it just keeps going. So it's a very long process, which people expect people to just go to their sites and buy right away. This is not how online business is done now. And anyway, the earlier you get in with the person on this funnel process, the more likely they are to go with you, because the trust you earn through where they're the most open, not when they're talking to your salesperson, but when they're actively looking for research, they find you there, the more likely they are to go with you at the end of the process because they think you're more trusted. And you have name recognition so that when they search for you on Google or search for an orthodontist on Google in the case that I gave you, they're more likely to click on your ad because they've seen and heard of you before versus haven't. And so as it applies to this, because they've seen and heard you before, because that ad that they saw while watching Orange is the New Black is so impactful on them, it's not like a YouTube ad where you could just click skip right away and you aren't paying attention to it. You've got to watch it. The fact that, or when, and should I say, if that person goes to search on Google for a provider later on, if they didn't go straight to you, they're much, much, much more likely to click on your ad because they know who you are. That's just how it works. If you're going to look at the ads, you decide, which one should I click on? The person that you've heard of before or think you've heard of, that's the person you're going to click on most of the time. That's just how it is, which is why you want to get in with the person earlier on in the sales process in your market. And once you've dominated picking all the low-hanging fruit of getting people when they're at the bottom of the sales funnel, then you want to work on being available in the upper parts of the funnel so you can make sure the people that when they finally say buy plus size clothing, that you are getting the most people there that you can, whereas you are only going to get so many if you never get in with the person while they're doing the research still or what have you, or just in general are aware of you before they make that buy plus size clothing if you sell plus size clothing. So there's a big benefit of getting seen for the people that are so-called in market for what you're selling already, and therefore are probably going to be buying something in the very near future. So, but anyway, with that said, we did this a couple times already, and I'm going to give you what the results are on those campaigns, roughly speaking. We did this for, first of all, a foundation repair company, where all we did there was just straight remarketing, because for foundation repair, in other words, if your foundation on your house is cracked, or it's sinking, or whatever, you are probably only going to buy that if you know you got a problem and you're ready to deal with it. Even if you know you got a problem, if you're not ready to deal with it, no ad's going to try to just... There's a reason why you're not dealing with it right then. You're broke, whatever, which would be the main reason, right? But if the person, we paid big money, going kind of back to the concepts I was talking about before, the people that are actively looking for foundation repair, Cleveland, those people, you obviously go for those first. That's the easiest low-hanging fruit in your market. But there's only so much of them. The best way to get double your return out of the people that you pay to go after that are ready to buy in your market like that, you could double what you get out of that just by doing the proper remarketing after they hit your site for the ones that don't either convert into a lead or haven't bought yet and they have turned to a lead already. And if you watched my channel before, I talk about to do that, to get that extra doubling of the profit you're going to make from your Google search ads like that. You get on every platform you can. Facebook, Google Display Network. You get on LinkedIn remarketing. For the few people that go there and are going to find you there, if you're big enough, you would do that too. Twitter, just so that you're basically can't be missed by that person that you paid $5-10 to get to your site in the first place, in which there's only so many of those people that are ready to buy in your market and have shown they're ready to buy, and to get the campaign to work better for you. So part of that whole concept is getting your ad on OTT. It's just another thing that's going to make the traffic you already have coming into your site already that you know is qualified, and is going to probably buy from somebody, not all, but a good chunk, to when they go to finally make their decision, because this whole buying process a lot of times takes months, that they end up with you because you're doing active work while they're deciding to make sure you're in the final decision a much higher percentage of the time. So OTT is just another great place to remarket. We did that though, and because the rates on the OTT advertising is so low for what it's worth, which is the reason why I said it's underpriced, it's such a good opportunity, and the tracking that the MNTN network was providing us, we were able to get over a 1,500% ROI on the remarketing ads that we're running. So that right there should tell you, everybody basically watches this, including yourself, that you should be doing this OTT advertising to remarket your company if you're already covering all your basic bases with your remarketing already, which means all the online networks, social media networks, and so forth. And on those networks, you are doing multiple ads, and you're not just saying, are you ready to buy yet? No? How about now? No? Oh, how about now? How about now? How about now? It's almost like that, are we there yet? When your kids in the back seat asking, if you're there yet, and they keep asking over and over again. That's how most dumb people do their remarketing. They just beat you over the head with the same message over and over and over and over again, and it gets people super, super sick of advertising online. And why people basically ignore it, and they actually get ad blockers and everything else. So you get ads that show your testimonials, you get ads that show your reviews, you get ads that show a comparison between your product or service compared to the competitor's product or service. You think of every single thing that the customers you have ask of your salespeople and extinguish them in different remarketing ads that point people to dedicated places that further elaborate on that particular point. If you have a testimonial, they click on that, it goes to a landing page that goes in detail on what that person's experience was, and so forth. Once you've done all that, then the next crowning piece to all your remarketing setup to get your double, if not a little bit more out of any traffic you have coming into your site, like I was talking about before, is to run some OTT ads on top of it and get a little bit more out of the traffic you have coming to your site. Anyway, getting a little bit off track here, The second and last company / case study we have here for you to talk about was when I was working for a steakhouse, and to get more people into the steakhouse, high-end steakhouse in a large metropolitan area. With this, going back to what I was saying before, where you could do custom email lists to target your OTT ads. What we did there, which you can also do if you're in the right market like this, is you could go out and find people that already frequent other businesses in the area, or in our case, a steakhouse. We got the customer information about all the customers that eat out at other high-end steakhouses in the same city. Which, by the way, we got that data through the American Express program. A lot of people don't know, but people that use American Express, they sell data lists on people that buy steaks or what have you. You could also get data through Experian. Experian, you think it's a credit reporting agency? No. They offer customer data lists because people report that retailers and wholesalers, they report to Experian on when people are making payments, and they use that data because they know what people are buying then, and they sell that to advertisers like us. You could use Nextmark. You could type in Nextmark mailing lists and see what customer lists are out there. Anyway, we got the actual customer list from the other people that are in the area, which is as good as gold for a business like this. And then we use that to run and target our OTT ads. And we got a 900+% lift on that one now. So in that situation, all we did was show how good a restaurant is. And in any luxury product market, for the most part, not to say this has to be the way, but the better option is just to show how good your stuff is. It's not to say why you're better or whatever, or say why. Well, you could say why you're better, like we are the best or something like that. Not we're better than this competitor because of this, or here's the first-time customers get 10% off. Even though in some cases you could do that. In this case, it's just showing, because people that have a lot of money, they usually just want the best. So how can we spend that whole 30-second commercial showing that we have the bomb steaks and so forth? On the foundation repair ad, all we did was just show that we're out there and what we do. Because that's all that we need, which is the whole point of this is, through remarketing, is show that we're a big company because we can afford to do OTT advertising and get brand recognition so that when they decide to buy, we're the first person they think of when they go, shoot, I can't delay my purchase anymore. We need to purchase today. I'll just go with XYZ because that's the one that seems like, because they thought of it first, they're going to think that's the person that's the most trustworthy, because that's how the human mind connects those things. In the steakhouse situation, we're not doing remarketing, we're just planting the seed in these people that normally like to eat at high-end steakhouses. So when they go to eat next time, because what they call in the marketing industry, we're now top of mind, they're more likely to go with us. A lot of them haven't heard of us, but even if they have, they're more likely to go with us because they've heard of us recently, and now we're top of mind, so that it makes it more likely they're going to go with us versus the other guys. The biggest reason why you would do something like this, though, is to get awareness if you're newer, like this company was, so that people, ultimately, all the people that you need to know that you exist will know, and within a relatively short period of time. Not everybody goes on to these networks and watches TV, but a bunch do. And of course, in that situation, we're not going to just advertise on OTT. We're going to advertise on Facebook using our email list. We're going to advertise in other networks so that we're guaranteed to be seen, but OTT is just one of them. OTT, though, is great because especially for like a luxury brand like that, if you will, if you want to call it a luxury brand, people, going back to the full circle here on what I was talking about before, the people value the fact that they've seen you on TV so much, it actually ties in with them thinking the high value that they think of the medium that you're on, transverses over to your offer and makes your offer seem high quality through diffusion here. So out of everything that we could have picked to explain that we're out there, this OTT is the best because we're going to, for something that's supposed to be bought because it seems the highest quality, that's actually the best place to go. So that said, that's the whole strategy that we're kind of overall using, that the basic nuts and bolts of this stuff. Because there's no way to click through these ads, so to say, it's what you're mainly trying to do is bring awareness to people that are going to be soon buying in your market, so that when they do go decide to buy from somebody, you're top of mind or thought of first. That's what all this whole thing is about. Or of course, if they're in market already and they're trying to decide who to buy from, and they haven't decided yet, when they do go to decide, because they've contacted several companies already, is what I'm trying to say here, that you end up being the one that closes the deal at the highest rate because you're doing more to make sure you are thought of when the day comes that they do buy. So you could try to find new customers using broad-based advertising, like, customers are usually 45 plus women and that are from high-end income, zip codes. You could do that kind of stuff to find customers. It's going to be significantly harder than using the basic tips I gave you here to narrow down really far. Or at the very least, what you should do is narrow down really far, like I'm telling you here, get that to work, and then use your money to try to go broader and broader and broader. That way you don't go broke in the process before you've ever made some money. So, but that's some basic tips about OTT. It's a really good opportunity. I'll try to maybe do some videos later on if this video does really well on some further tips on how to do your video ad and so forth. But for now, I'll just wrap it up with that. If you like the video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a like. And if you want to be able to make some killer money doing PPC and online advertising for your brand, this is the channel for you. And you should definitely subscribe, as you're not going to find better information elsewhere on YouTube on actual actionable advice on how to make money, given I run several dozen PPC campaigns for clients at any given time, and I've been doing PPC for 15 plus years now. So I've compiled a really huge mass of information of things that we've tested using tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions of dollars of ad spend by now. I don't know exactly the amount, but to figure out what works and what is working and what continues to work, what doesn't work, to give it to you here on this channel. And that's exactly what you're getting here. So therefore, you're learning from somebody who's out there in the trenches doing it and knows actually what works. So therefore, you should subscribe. If you like the channel here, you've been watching for a while, you should also check out my blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog, where I've also got my writing where I go into detail on some of these strategies. You can learn even more from myself there as well, with the same type of kind and quality of content. If you have any questions about anything I covered here today, or anything about PPC in general, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. Beyond that, guys, if you have a burning desire to get results with your PPC campaigns, but you don't have so much time, reach out to my agency. We can give you a guaranteed PPC proposal where we can see how much we can get you in terms of results up front for free, as far as a trial with our services, with the understanding that you are looking for a long-term agency to work with and want to and are willing to work with one once we were to get you some initial traction on your ads. We typically will come in, a company will come in, they'll say they're making this. We'll say, okay, at the beginning, we'll make you this before we charge our monthly fees. Once we get you here, we'll want you to be a client for at least the next 12 months after that at XYZ level of fees per month. And the fees aren't the cheapest, but the results are the best. There's no reason to get cheap discount services in the PPC space if you're ever going to do it. Either watch my channel and try to figure it out yourself, and then when you eventually don't have the time, you come to the best. That's truly the best route to go, given the cheap services are almost always ineffective and are scam. You get what you pay for, and there's tons of scammers out there. 80-90% of the PPC firms out there are scam. But if we could give you a proposal that can show you what you can end up making with your campaign, probably based upon results we've got in your market already. But there's only one way to know what those results would be, and you'd have to reach out to find out, to see what somebody who's in the trenches doing this every day can actually add on top of what you have now, Or like you could do on a new campaign, maybe also if you're doing that. We don't work with everybody, but there's only one way to know if we can work with you and offer you a guarantee like I was mentioning that we, as a cornerstone of our company, offer. So that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next video where we have another great PPC strategy for you to make some more money as well. See you later.